Hey everybody, welcome back to Money, Faith and Finance. I'm Ben McEachran from Hope Mornings with Pete Burrows from Lower Russell and Farr at Penrith, accountant with small business and individuals. I'm not letting you get a word in. Now you can.
G'day.
Excellent. We are joined by Gemma Mitchell, author of the recently released The Money Reset. Gemma, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is going to be wonderful talking to you about the book, a book which is trying to help loads of people, particularly if they're in life transitions, difficult life transitions, and how they can take control of their money. But before we get to that, we should get to a bit about you. Now, you're a financial advisor. I'm getting that right?
Yes, I am.
But you're not practicing as a financial... Is that the right
She doesn't need to
terminology?
practice because she's already good at it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'm
There
too
you go.
good.
Perfected it.
But you were a financial advisor for
Yes.
some time, financial planner, and now...
So now I'm still licensed to be a financial advisor. I just choose not to give financial advice because it's really challenging. There's lots of red tape and there's only so much you can do. Like there's only so many clients you can see a year.
Yep.
It's a lot of work, and I love to do big scale stuff, help people. There's so many amazing advisors, and I actually manage a team of advisors. But I want to do that large scale stuff, like talk on podcasts, and I do corporate workshops and education stuff. I just love that. So the book, but yeah, financial advice is absolutely great, but it's not accessible to everybody. Whereas a free podcast, a free online course, social media, a book, it
reach
it
more
is,
people.
yeah. And that's just where I was a financial advisor for 15 years.
You did your
kept
time in
my
the
license.
trenches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you know
have.
what? You did
I
your
don't want
time.
to do all the paperwork anymore.
Yeah.
So instead I just wrote a book, which was more paperwork than I've
I just wrote a book, and you just host the Australian Financial Podcast, which,
Yes.
and you host the Australian Finance Podcast. Like, you got a lot of things going on, Gemma.
Yep.
But the book, The Money Reset, that you just wrote, were there personal experiences that led up to it? And if you
Absolutely.
don't mind sharing, what were they?
Yeah, absolutely. So this book originated as a ebook for people going through a separation or divorce or something. So I went through that myself 3 years ago, and I have helped clients my whole working life in these transitions. So I was pretty confident going into my own. I was like, I've got this. I've helped people with this for years and years and years. And it was so much harder than...
Was it?
Do as I say, not as I do. That's what I say to my
Yes.
clients. It's a bit
Yes.
different when it's me.
It's totally different. So I
Yeah.
actually have a financial advisor. Because even though I'm a financial advisor, because money is so emotional for us. And so me being in the thick of my own separation, knowing exactly what I had to do and how I've always helped other people, it wasn't as easy because I couldn't take the emotion out of it.
Wow.
And
Do you wish you'd given different advice previously, or taken
that's why
emotion
you
in
need,
more?
So maybe my approach has changed slightly, but this is why you need a village and people. This is why a lot of the time you can't do things yourself. Like, it's like a personal trainer, right? Like, I know what I need to do at the gym and what I should be eating, but I need that
You need
person
the
to keep
push,
me accountable and just to tell,
accountability.
like, a lot of the time in like a money coaching session or a financial advice, I'll say something to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I knew that. But it's when you're in the thick of it, it's really, really hard. So it started as an ebook for my divorce, like separation clients. And it was just me putting down the steps, putting the emotional, the practical, the financial, so that you could just think of the next thing and not 0 to 100. It was just the next step.
Do you find a lot of emotion in your office?
I do, and it's funny when I talk to like mums and dads, and you'll get one will be more emotional than the other, and it's almost like they'll look to me sometimes to go, can you decide, Pete, or can we take the emotion out of it? And if you're not emotionally involved in it, you can probably just cut to the truth a bit quicker because you're not as worried about people's feelings or what it is. So I do see that money is very emotional. We've talked before on the pod, 1 out of 1 people need to deal with money. We can't avoid it regardless of what we think about it. And you probably found the same thing is it's very hard to separate how you feel about your life from your money's role in it.
Yeah, we
Did you
tie
might have
a
found
lot
that?
of our self-worth
Yes.
to money, and we shouldn't, but it is our safety and security. And
Why shouldn't we?
well, because when things like this
Could
go
disappear.
wrong, like we should have self-worth outside of that. But money doesn't buy us happiness, but it buys us safety, security, things that make us healthy, services. So it is a big part of our life. But when you go through a huge like a plot twist, this can...
That's a polite way to describe a massive life
Plot
event.
twist.
Because you're talking about everything in the book, not just from divorce,
Not just
but
divorce.
death or job loss, I take it.
Job
or...
loss, like you might, so my ex-husband, before we had this plot twist, so he stopped working. He was about 38. He permanently stopped working from a medical condition. So we already had that, and that was a huge transition in the way we manage money. So our money needed a reset then. We had to change our goals, how we manage money from our day-to-day spending to our long-term kind of wealth creation plan, but also his identity. Like there was so many layers to that we didn't kind of anticipate. So that was one, and then the divorce. So many layers of complexity emotionally that I didn't think.
You hit the reset button, didn't you? It wasn't
You just keep, and that's what I tell people. Your reset isn't once. Like retirement is one of our biggest resets, and that might be everything's going along perfectly.
Well, people have never retired before, right? They're not actually really as prepared for it. They're age-wise and body-wise, they're really ready for it.
Yep.
But in terms of like the headspace, I see every week my clients aren't ready for it.
And just how you manage money. So they might have always had like an offset account or a credit card or something, and now they're drawing down. They're not accumulating. It's not like, oh, well, I
that does the
stocked up
heads
the budget.
a bit, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. You need a huge reset. So it's not just these terrible things like external events. It's great things as well. And it might just be an internal awakening that you're like, this doesn't work for me anymore. What I've always done doesn't work. How do I actually get back to basics? And that's what the book is about. Like, and if you go through the steps and get back to basics and decide to keep going the exact, so maybe you've got the same goals or your bank system does work for you. That's great. You've just got the validation that, cool, that area does work for you.
Before we get on to the 12-step plan, you mentioned there about the identity that people can find in their wealth and then what can be sucked away when all sorts of things happen. Do you reckon that's the biggest mistake that we can make, especially in a significant life transition when it comes to our finances? Is that the one? Is that the biggest error?
It's definitely up there, but that's something that's really hard to rewrite. It's like our money mindset. It's easy to go, well, it's not easy, but a lot of the time we can go, oh, I know this is now my money mindset, or I know I have this habit, or I know I'm tying too much of my self-worth to my money. But that doesn't mean you knowing it can change it. So I think the biggest thing is awareness. If you going, if I'm in this situation and it's not okay in 12 months that something has to change, or I know I have this trait or this habit and I know that it's actually hindering, not helping, like the awareness is the most important thing, and you don't have to override it or change everything overnight. It's just about just putting the brakes on and having this little speed bump before you make those decisions, getting out of autopilot.
Honest, I think one of the things I picked up from here was just an awareness of where you're at. Like clients will come to me and go, yeah, I've got a car, I've got a house, I've got all this, it's flash. And then I'm like, okay, what do you owe on your house? What's the car payments? What's on your credit cards? Like, and people almost don't want to tell you, but I'm like, we give better advice if we have better data. Better data is better decisions. So I'm like, tell us the truth. And a lot of people, and be the same in the financial planning, is an awareness of where you're really at is actually a better way to go forward. Let's admit the truth, people. It's happening anyway.
Yeah.
Like admit it. And I think that's
and just consider it your start line, like your starting line. Like, the first chapter's taking stock. And I'm like, it might actually be that you take stock and it looks terribly compared to where it is. But like there's something exciting in that as well, just going, well, this is the opportunity. And now I know the start line. And
exciting,
if it is,
really, Gemma?
Well, daunting as well. Yeah.
Can it though? Like, will it get better?
Well, it might not, but then at least you know, because you've been hiding it.
It
Often
can
people
get better though.
People have been carrying it and hiding it. And often sometimes it's almost like a confessional where it's like, you know what? Blah.
Yeah.
It comes out and then you're like, okay,
and
let's deal with it.
So like out of a terrible situation, this is one of the better things that come out of it that will make you confront things that you hadn't previously been.
And like it's all about reframing. Like your mindset is so important. So you can reframe it as an opportunity. And I say it's a slingshot. So
what's a slingshot?
So you might have had one of these plot twists and you see
I love how you
it's not a rock to the face. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you see
Wait
it
till
as
you
a
get to
step
debt
back.
reduction. There's avalanche and there's something else.
Snowball.
Yep.
Snowstorm. I should have that. That's Afterpay. No.
Before that, slingshot. What's slingshot?
So if you were going through a really hard time, chances are it's going to be a setback in your financial journey, and like the trajectory of your life. So why don't we reframe that as it's a slingshot? You're pulling back, like maybe you're having to cut expenses. You had to change your housing situation. Half your assets just got swiped. Like we need to see this as a slingshot. Cool, we're pulling back right now, but we're going to have control and be able to propel our situation forward in something that actually serves us and to a direction that is what we actually want for our future selves. So it's all about reframing. Easier said than done, but give it a crack.
No, it's good.
I was thinking that because you've got a 12-step plan that you're outlining in the money reset, but you think it's for everybody? Yeah. Because again, it can be easier said than done, all of these things, all these plans, whatever it might be. But you think anyone can do it?
Absolutely. And it might be that you don't need the 12 steps, right? Like it says at the start of the book, how to use this book. And it's like, if you have capacity right now, because I don't want it just to be another thing. Like imagine you just sitting it on your desk and just going, oh, I'm going to read that book. It's one more thing to do. So you could pick it up and just go, I'm actually really stressed about super or retirement or my budget or whatever. Just go to that chapter. That's why it's in the steps, because it's just so you can clearly just focus on that area and don't have to think of, I've got so much to do.
Like if you're an older person, you mightn't necessarily, there's talks about insurance in there and, protecting yourself.
Yep.
An older person with no debts, ready to retire with lots of money, might think insurance is not as relevant for me. It's interesting hearing you say stress, because one of the things I liked in here was where it talked about give yourself a little bit of a checklist when you make a big financial decision.
You like that about the money reset?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, the book. Because what happens is people just go, I'm going to do this, but you sort of, Gemma's encouraging people to stop and go, is this going to bring more stress in my life? And it's okay to be stretched, but do we need to be stressed? And
sleep at night test. It's
sleep
huge.
test. It's massive.
Yes.
And is that one of the first things to do? How do you describe it? The sleep at night test?
I call it the sleep at night test, and I've got an example in there.
It's a scientific term. It's trademarked.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that's right.
But I've got an example in there of 10 questions, and I encourage people to pick 3 because we all resonate with different
You're not
things.
Remember 10 anyway.
Yeah, absolutely not. So there's an example in there, but create your own sleep at night test so that before you do something, before you decide on a financial move, a lifestyle goal, buying something, whatever it is, you ask yourself these 3 questions that is personal, resonates with you. Because sometimes we don't do things or sometimes we shouldn't do things because they're not right for us. And other times we don't do them because we're scared, not because they're wrong for us, but because it's just out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
So you want
Scared
to
of what?
of the outcome of the unknown or whatever.
Yeah.
But growth is really important. But we want to identify, is it scared of growth and being out of our comfort zone, or should you really just not be doing this?
Yeah.
Like,
because it's a ginormous risk.
So stretch stress not
exactly.
so much.
Yeah. So you want to identify, because there's so many things that you can do, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Like the bank might say you can borrow $1 million, but if you actually did a budget and looked at your plans and what you want your life to be looking like, well, maybe you shouldn't actually be doing that. Like, so it's always like, yes, you can. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
So some of the and sorry, I can't think of a better phrase than this, Gemma, the pick and choose nature of the money reset, is that because you're mindful that people are overwhelmed, they are feeling all sorts of things, including stressed at this particular juncture in their life.
Yeah.
And so you're trying not to overwhelm them. So one of the ways they can actually take some action is because you're trying very hard to not add to their burdens.
Let's not add to the plate. Yeah.
But to provide ways that they can actually work through them or sort themselves out, but at their own pace.
Exactly right. Because it's like, imagine if I was like, so you're not sleeping at night because of your debt, and I'm like, no, well, you've got 6 steps to do before
that's right,
like,
you got 12. Did I mention there's 12?
Yeah.
Wow, are you turning up at like 5 a.m. like like the night before, the night before, like banging on the window or something? Like, you've still got 6 more steps to go.
Yeah.
Well, they mightn't be ready to take it on now, but I guess you're saying, you know what, you need your insurance now because you've got young kids and big debts. So let's do insurance now. But when you're ready, let's think about some of the other things in the 12 steps.
Like ideally just do go 1 to 12. That's the best way to do it.
Yep.
But yeah, if you are so overwhelmed with one particular area, or you don't have capacity to read the book or listen to the audio version, you don't want to listen to me for 6 hours. Just go to the chapter that is stressing you out. That's like the place to start. And then maybe you'll have the confidence that you can actually change one area of your life and then want to do all the others.
Yep, that makes sense.
But speaking of picking and choosing to where you might start, though, like as a general rule with the money reset, so someone's had a massive financial free fall for whatever reason, huge life event, and you've mentioned take stock already.
Yeah.
And you've also talked about some of the keep you up at night questions. Are those the first 2 steps that you would strongly recommend to anybody, no matter what has happened in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we were talking about, a lot of the time people have got their head in the sand, or they think they know their financial situation, but they don't. So that awareness is absolutely an awareness that you need something to change. So like asking yourself, if this is still the situation, if I still feel like this in a year's time, is that okay? And if the answer is no, then you know that you've got to take action. Because a lot of the time around our money, we don't have much urgency around it. Like retirement's like 40 years away that people
For
don't
some
get.
of us, Gemma. Others of us,
comes quick.
it's
Well,
much closer. Pete, it's next week, right? Like,
No, but like especially with kids, like I've always said, the days are long, but the years are short. So like you
Yes,
feel like we're
it
busy,
goes
but like
really
you get to
quickly.
a certain age pretty quickly.
Yeah, so we see
Yeah.
55s, like the 50, 55 start going, I've got to learn all about super. I've got to, like, but if we
I
actually
better write
just,
that down. I'm 54. I better learn.
learn
super.
about super.
Yeah, yeah.
I just turned 40 like last month.
whole life ahead of you, Gemma.
Yeah, 40.
Yeah. Hey,
Exciting.
40s are pretty good.
No,
I
but it's,
like-
but it's
I'm
an interesting
excited.
age, isn't it? Because I find my clients that are similar age to you, they're young enough they've still got pressing concerns of finances, kids, mortgage, but old enough that you go, actually, I do need to think about retirement,
Yes.
what's coming up, parents, kids, how am I going to set up the next stage of my life? Is that what
Yeah,
you're finding?
absolutely. And I find that it's a little bit easier for us to start connecting with the impact we can have because say at 40, like if you think back to 20, we're all just like, oh, why didn't we buy a house? Why didn't we start?
Hindsight's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so we now have a long record of, I wish I had started
Of
earlier.
reality.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit easier for us to convince people to start now because we're like 60-year-old you is going to be wishing you started today.
I think you're right. I think we've had more time for the reality check to cash in our lives. Like you've had longer to go, I've made 20 years worth of mistakes. I'm 40.
Yeah.
It's learnings. How do I apply it in the next 20, 30 years? And
Yep.
it's sort of, in your book, it's very distilled down into just, this is the good and bad. And some of it's mistakes I've made. Some of it's areas that I would address differently. Is that?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not about being perfect. It's just about making progress. Like, what do they say? Progress over perfection.
Yeah.
And it's small things. You don't have to rewrite your money mindset or your money or your wealth journey or anything overnight. It's about just that awareness and knowing that something needs to change and then slowly doing it.
I was thinking that
Yeah.
because the sorts of things that you're trying to cover in the money reset around divorce or death or disease or whatever it might be, like really hard stuff in life. And we respond to that in all sorts of different ways. But many people are overwhelmed, like, understandably, by that. So much is going on that even just the idea of another step can feel another step too far. Do you know what I mean?
Just a
Especially
lot.
if you haven't been addressing your financial situation. You guys must come across that quite a bit. And
Yeah.
so how do you gently encourage someone to take the step?
Yeah, they have to want to, right? It's like anything.
And
You
is it gently always?
Yeah.
Some people need a bit more of a push than others.
Yeah.
How do you do
Sometimes
the
it's
gentle
gently.
push?
I think and I think you do touch on it in the book is you've got to get people to get in touch with what's your values, what's your goals, what's the bigger picture driving you? Because everybody's got day-to-day concerns, but you go,
Yeah.
where you really want to be, what's really important to you? And I do like
Yeah.
in the book you talk about, your goals should come from your values, but also too, our goals sometimes finish and our goals sometimes don't serve us anymore. So you do
Yes.
need to be willing to let them go.
Yeah.
That's something you've talked
Yeah,
about?
and there's a lot of like I talk about how grief shows up in our life. And if you have to let go of a goal that you've been working towards
Yeah.
for a long time, there can be like a lot of
Grieving process.
yeah, and so I talk about in the book, I had probably a pretty unhealthy approach to life. I had like this invisible checklist that I was
Yeah.
like, right, the career, the engagement, the marriage, the kids, the
Yeah.
house. And I was just like ticking along.
What
So then
happens if
when
it changes?
divorce comes
Yeah.
along, I'm like, this isn't on my list. And it feels a lot like failure. It's really,
Yeah, yep.
and we were talking off air about my career when I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to be a financial advisor anymore. And I felt like failure. I didn't think I had any of these other transferable skills. I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
is the hard thing about having such specific kind of goals.
Mm.
But it comes down to your values. And in the reset, maybe you do need to let go of some goals because they either don't align with your life,
Yep.
they've come from society pressures. Maybe, honestly, it's off the table because it was a goal that's not achievable
maybe
with
not
your
achievable.
financial position now. Like
Yeah.
reality happens. So I talk about the goals that I had to let go of in there, and there can be like lots of grief kind of that comes up
Yep.
around that. But getting really clear on why you're working towards something and why it's going to give you fulfillment and why it's important to you and all that kind of stuff is really important.
So you didn't give up on goals themselves.
I haven't given up on goals, but I probably contradict myself quite a bit here because
Welcome, Gemma. Welcome.
Welcome to the party.
yeah, I definitely do. So as financial professionals, we're always like, you need to know your values, you need to know, which you do, but you need to know goals because if you don't have a clear goal, you won't work towards it. So where I contradict myself is if you're going through a really tough time, which I still consider I'm kind of in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still am. It's 3 years and
Yep.
it's still pretty murky. I can't like I don't really know what life's going to look like in a year or two.
And you're still navigating, like you said, you're changing career, you're doing something different now.
There's so much going on. So it's really hard for me, which I'm always been a spreadsheet person that had very specific wealth goals. Like I want to have this at this age, but I don't know what life is kind of going to look like. I no longer know what financial freedom, that number looks like to me. So where I contradict is I'm like, if you're in this fog as well, it's okay not to have clear goals, but you need to be doing whatever is in your capacity to move forwards. Because the minute you decide, you want to already be well on your way and not at your starting line. So, you know, I don't know what a family home looks like for me at the moment. So I'm in a rental that suits us, but I have investment properties because I want to be building wealth. So the minute I decide, you know, I have options. But so I was always a spreadsheet person with goals, and one of my friends bullied me into doing a vision board, and I was I'm not a vision board person.
Now there's no going back.
I'm not a spreadsheet person, let alone a vision board.
I love a good spreadsheet, but I've had a few clients and friends do vision boards, and they love it. It's visual, it's in front of them, you can see it.
So you gave it a crack?
Yeah, I did it. I did it, and I put 3 words on it because I'm just like, what do you put on your vision board when it's like I have monetary goals and wealth goals and things? And so there's just 3 words on it, and I still have it today. And it's happier, healthier, wealthier. Okay. Because I know whatever life I have in the future, I'm going to need to be happier. Certainly going to need to be healthier than what I was and am now, and I need to be wealthier. So I was like, every single day, I'm just going to do something that gets me closer to those 3 things. So this is I'm a planner, like have been since I was.
That's really big picture. Like
very different for me.
I've had a lot of sort of coaches say to me over the year, you know, when they're trying to coach clients, they're saying start with the goal, and then you might have a plan, and then you've got the action. So like the goal and the big thing is, you know, it makes sense, healthier.
Yeah. Like I need to have financial goals again at some point. Like it'll be by retirement to own my own home and be debt free.
To be much more specific about the goal.
Yeah, so I will be there soon, but I'm in the thick of it right now. It's very foggy. The goal is not to write another book.
But she's feeling like the content's already emerging. She's already got ideas bubbling for book 2.
No wonder you just came out with 3 words on the vision board. Like you put all the other words in the money.
The other 30,000 are in the book.
I have no more words left. 55,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. She knows. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, if you're in the thick of it, sometimes we don't start moving forwards because we think we have to have all the answers and we think we've got to have the goal. But maybe the goal is I want to be happier, healthier, wealthier. Or I just, like this time next year, maybe you want to open your inbox, your email, and not panic when you see a bill. Like you don't have to have massive goals.
This conversation, 100%. Pete, Gemma must be raising all sorts of stuff with everybody. Great. Because we'd love to hear about it. Money, Faith and Finance Facebook group. That's always going off with all sorts of everyday things, including, Gemma, the sort of things that you're raising here about where people are at and where they want to go and et cetera, et cetera. But if you've been through a major life event, share as much as you can about that, especially the wins that you've had. And if you want to go even further than that, some of the losses or some of the things that didn't go so well or things that you want to warn the rest of us about. All the things that align with what Gemma's on about in the Money Reset, whatever it might be, share it in Money, Faith and Finance, the Facebook group. Gemma, in Money Reset, debt management and cash flow are major pillars. Can you share with us some of the like lesser known ways that we can reset spending and then stabilize cash flow, especially through a crisis?
Yeah, so I talk about levers. So there's always levers that you can move your financial position forwards. And so for a lot of us, when something goes wrong, we'll automatically go to where can I cut expenses? What can I cut as much as possible? Realistically, there is only so much you can cut. There is a baseline expense that we all have to operate at. Unfortunately not. Yeah. And I'm 40 now. I'm not moving back home with mum. So there is only a baseline of expenses. So getting really clear on that is absolutely really important. You have to dive into spending, be really realistic, and you have to have a trade-off. Like there has to, that slingshot, it's not forever. It's you're cutting back and being restrictive for a short amount of time.
Can you work out how much time at that point, or is that something you work out over time?
You work out over time, but I encourage people to do 2 budgets. So if you have to have
2 budgets?
Yeah. You get to do one and then just copy and paste it and make some edits.
You get
don't
one,
have to-
and you chuck it in the bin when it doesn't work. You're like, get rid of that one. Let's start again.
But
why two budgets?
Okay, so if you're going through a tough time and your lever is to cut your expenses significantly, so Netflix is gone, gym's gone, eating out, coffees have gone, whatever, do a budget, your bare bones budget on what fits in with your income and where you need to be right now. But then do another copy that's your aspirational.
Okay,
That's
I like
like
it. Yep.
when more money flows into my life, because your next lever might be earning more, going for a job
What
or
would
whatever.
I put back into the
Where am I
budget
going to
at
put
that
it?
stage?
So
Yep.
it doesn't just get, lifestyle creep and then we go, where'd all that money go?
100%.
Right, the next thing that's going to come in is this. Like, so one of the things, and I know it's a very privileged position, but one of the things that had to go in mine was my personal training and my cleaner.
Yep.
And my cleaner is very important to me because when I do have the kids, I want to spend time with them. And I also want to walk. It gives me a total feeling of calm in my house. And I'm a terrible house cleaner.
Cleaners are awesome.
And if
Yeah.
They
it's
make the world
important
go
to you and
round.
a priority, then
And it
for those
just
very
brings
good reasons,
so much more calm, and then I'm calmer with the kids. Like I know the flow on effects, so
works.
it's very important to me. But that had to go, and so it was on the aspirational that's
knew
coming
you
back in.
wanted
That's
it
a
back.
number
as soon
one
as
on the
possible.
aspirational list.
Yeah, and the advantage of it is, like you said, you don't just fill the bucket with all these other costs. You go, no, if I had another $100, that cleaner is
that's
first
going.
thing back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can only cut so much, but then your next lever is your income because
Yep.
your ability to earn income is uncapped.
Capped.
And
I love that part. I love that part of the book.
People don't think of that. They obviously
They have to work for it, Gemma, generally. That's the problem. People go, I don't want a third job. Pete, I'm going to lose half in tax, which
or
isn't
they
true.
up their
But
value in their current,
Yeah.
or they just look at getting out of their comfort. So they do their sleep at night test and they go, I'm not applying for other jobs or moving to a company because I'm comfortable here.
But
I
you
know
do
the
talk
people.
about lots of different ways people
Yeah.
can have side hustles and make extra money.
But you're trying particularly to talk to people who are going through major life events, like being comfortable in one area of your life. Surely that's a good thing. Like
Yeah,
if your
and
job
I
is
do
comfortable,
talk
shouldn't
about
I
that.
stay?
Like maybe you don't have capacity right now to be
moment,
out of your comfort zone there, but it might actually be a 2 or 3 year plan. Again, like nothing has to happen overnight. You can just go, right, this is my lever. I don't have capacity now, but I know it's about not feeling stuck. Like
It's also
just
about
knowing.
mindset shift that you've mentioned several times, and it's in the money reset that you're changing perspective. You're shifting that lever within yourself.
Yeah, because our brain will automatically shortcut to whatever decision is going to keep us the safest that it thinks. But potentially I encourage people to write down all of the ways they could earn more money. And even if they don't, even if they go, no, write it down and write, how would it work? Why wouldn't it work? And all this. So you're just not letting your brain go, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, not cutting it down
Yeah.
before you actually investigate it.
And-
And go,
yeah.
If they had to do a business plan, could this work?
Yes,
Yeah.
but on the flip side, I want people also to do it because everyone goes, oh, do a side hustle. And you might not have capacity to, it might cost you more than it actually brings in.
Yes,
so let's not just jump into things because maybe it's not actually worth earning that extra $100 because it's going to be a pain. So it's just all about going into things with your eyes open and exploring things fully before we just automatically default to this is the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete, that reminds me, we spoke on a previous episode about side hustles, and what Gemma just said there pretty much aligns with what you said about when you're weighing up a side hustle. Maybe it actually might cost you more than you're gonna
See
get
it all
out of
the
it. You can find that in the back catalogue of
Yeah.
Money, Faith and Finance, wherever you get the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and share and all those sorts of things. Also, we love here, Gemma at Money, Faith and Finance, talking about the motivation behind money. We did a recent episode challenging us on 5 questions around greed to take a quick 5-question test. I'm not going to put it to you now, Gemma.
Don't worry, I
Just-
failed it when you did it. to
Just
me.
letting it, well, I think we both sort
we
of
did.
failed.
I'd probably
fail.
We did it in the episode. We took the test ourselves. Am I greedy? Am I not? That's a recent episode that is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, you should, because it's a
check that
really confronting thing to do. But like you're encouraging us in the money reset, it's like it's taking stock, not just of what our assets are and what we earn with, but who we are and what we're about and what our values are. That's a recent episode of Money, Faith and Finance. You should grab it. But on this one right now, Gemma, as we keep talking about the money reset, your approach is very personalized, but both you guys must come across people that think financial advice really seems one size fits all and it's not actually relevant to their unique situation. What do you say to them?
Yeah. I would say to a degree, like absolutely, finance, there's only so many ways to build wealth. There's only so many ways to do things. So the strategies that apply are built around tax systems and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
yes, there are only so many things, but where the personalization comes in is how you apply them to yourself. Like
Personalization. Yes.
yeah. But if you think about it, like, we've got super, we've got debt repayment. Like, there's only so many strategies, but the day-to-day stuff is how you personalize it and how you resonate with it.
Yeah. And knowing yourself and knowing your client, like say, similar sort of thing. There's only really a few ways to make money, but I know some of my clients, I might be able to say to them, you know what, you should probably have a share portfolio. But they'll be like, Pete, I bought an investment property in 1985. I got 3 other properties. I'm 75. They are not going to buy a share unless they got it accidentally in a float. So like with those people, you have to go, you know what, that's who they are. Property would make sense to them, but that's what they're going to keep doing. They're not going to do shares. Other clients, especially my younger clients, they love share market. They love ETFs. They mightn't be able to afford the big lumpy money that has to go into a property. So for them, I'm not trying to push them into a rental property. I'm saying, you know what can you afford? What are you comfortable with? They like the easy tradability of shares and the liquidity of them. So if they know themselves as a person, you can say it to you blue in the face, buy a property. But if people aren't going to buy a property, well then what's the alternative? So.
Yeah, there's so many ways to build wealth. It's just about finding out what works for you. But what I find is the challenging part is generally we've learned about money from the generation before us, our parents, and we've seen it modeled one way. So I find like a lot of younger people are like, I have to have my own home because I've seen my parents have the same home, pay it off over 40 years. So it can be really hard to kind of be comfortable with other strategies that you haven't seen modeled around you. So it's probably the hardest thing, you know, like, the property one. Aussies love property.
We do.
Still, even though the property market continues to break all of our hearts every single moment of every single day for the last decade or two.
It does, but it was interesting hearing you touch on rent vesting before, because I've had a few clients do it recently where they've sort of said, Pete, we need to, you know, we want to rent for lifestyle and where our work and family and kids events are. But you know what? We will invest somewhere else because we couldn't afford to buy that house there, but we want to be in the market and still doing something. And I've had probably more clients, especially those 40 and under, especially in Sydney, where they're going, actually, you know what? Probably doesn't make sense for me to buy my own place to live in. The cost of it, I'm going to rent. It's a little bit more affordable, but I will get in the market somewhere else. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, exactly. And like the goal is to have enough wealth to own a home that you live in retirement, because who wants to rent in retirement and have inspections and things and have enough to live off? But, you know, that could be 3 properties and you rent and then you sell them at some point. Like there's always going to be the most tax effective way to do something and the best strategy on paper. But then there's also our lifestyle and you just want to weigh them up. But yeah, like I would have never imagined that I'd still be renting 3 years after my divorce. I thought it would be really short term and I'd be back in a family home. And I have just loved it. I like
freedom, flexibility. I mean, it's probably a good thing because
like
I do think in Australia we do beat ourselves up a bit about you have to have a house, but it's different for what my kids will be. Like I probably don't expect them to buy a house.
Now.
I'm sort of saying to them, save up and get some shares or maybe get a flat, because why would you want a house? They don't spend time outside. They don't want to do all the work. And a house in a suburb could cost twice as much as a flat in the same suburb. Yeah. So why wouldn't you go for something that gives you a life?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah. So I'm starting to get the itch again where I'm like, I wouldn't mind having a garden and like be able to paint walls, but it's taken 3 years. Like I was not in the headspace to buy a family home that was going to be right for me. Like property is so expensive to get into
Very
and
lumpy,
out of. I didn't want to make the wrong move. So I bought an investment property that I'll never live in. I don't care.
So
it
you're
doesn't
not
have
emotionally
to suit.
attached to it. Yep.
And I just got a rental that suits me. But now I think I'm getting to that headspace. But if I had have just waited on the sidelines and not even got into the property market or not have been doing stuff and waited till I felt ready, like it's been 3 years.
Time passes pretty quickly. I have noticed that if clients get stuck with indecision or think I'll get back in later, especially to the property market, in that time where they waited, they probably couldn't have saved their way to get the properties. So you tend to have to stay in the market.
Yeah, so it's just about knowing what levers you've got, what your options are, and knowing that if the one way you've seen modelled, or, you know, I was always a homeowner, like just because that isn't going to work right now doesn't mean you don't have any other options.
Yep.
Gemma Mitchell, you've given us so much to think about and ponder, not just in this conversation, but in the money reset itself, which everybody should go out and check it out. Not necessarily if your life is in crisis, but it sounds like there's plenty here that pre-crisis, post-crisis, you can take a look at.
If you're very strategic, you can get in pre-crisis and read it up first.
Basically anywhere. But I love the fact that you're trying to help people who are going through significant things like you did, or something close to that. We, on Money, Faith and Finance, Gemma, every episode we end with Show Me the Money, which is like the one thought, the one thing that you want us all to take away from. Before we get to that, we haven't really touched on a big thing in Money Reset as well is the idea of a village of trusted individuals. I've been thinking a bit about it as we've been talking, because some of the things that you and Pete have been sharing, awesome. But for people who aren't or wouldn't describe themselves as financially minded, it just instantly, I feel, and maybe it's because it's me, can feel like overwhelm straight away. It's like, oh, you're just heaping all this stuff on me. And like, I don't know,
That's why you need a village, man.
Spreadsheets, whatever.
Yeah.
But we haven't yet talked about the village. So you're a big believer in the village?
The village, absolutely. So your village is the people around you, and it doesn't need to be big. It needs to be strong. And the village can be accountability people, cheerleaders, mentors, and professionals. So you don't know, so there's lots of different jobs in the village, and you're not going to get this from one person. So you need to know who these people are. So your best friend who knows nothing about money could be your accountability or your biggest cheerleader, but you still need a professional in tax or financial planning. You might need a mentor, and that might be a podcast or a book. It doesn't have to be a person.
They don't all have to be paid.
Yeah, but just identifying these key different areas of where you get your support from is so important. And
or asking someone you trust to get them to identify the people that you need in your village.
Yeah, it's just about asking for help. That's the biggest thing, is you don't actually have to do this alone. We're in an age now where there's so much access to information.
More information than ever, Gemma, but I guess it's sifting through it and having
The
someone
overwhelm.
to help you analyse it.
Yep, like I said, I've got a financial advisor because I can't make decisions for myself. I need to soundboard them by somebody. So your village is so important. And getting the right people in your village is crucial, and that takes time, but also knowing when you've outgrown them. So you can outgrow people in your village, and that's a very positive thing. So it's just about, I guess it's like loyalty with banks and different things. Sometimes it doesn't help us, it hinders. So just knowing when you've potentially outgrown your accountant or your financial advisor, or you were with a money coach and now you're ready for financial advice, just knowing when you're ready for the next thing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we're ready for the next thing, Gemma, which is show me the money. So what's the one thing that you want us to take from the Money Reset?
That would be, for anyone feeling like they're stuck and that they don't have choices, is that they do. There are so many choices out there. You just have to decide that you want things to change. So you're not stuck. There are hundreds of ways to manage your money, to tweak things, to change your mindset. You just need to know that you're not stuck and there's options.
So good. Gemma Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us on Money, Faith and Finance. You are a financial advisor, but now you
published author.
You choose not to give financial advice, instead published author of the Money
Book
Reset.
2 coming 2027.
Also co-host of the Australian Finance Podcast. You should check it out. Gemma, it's been awesome to have such a great chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And good to have you here too, Pete, I suppose.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks.
I'll be
thanks
back next
up.
week while Gemma's off jetting the world. I'll be here.
I definitely hope you will be. Before we get to the next episode, be sure to check out Money, Faith and Finance on YouTube, not just so you can see us, but so you can see all of this potted wisdom and gold. So subscribe at the YouTube channel, Money, Faith and Finance, where I will still be Ben McKecken from Hope Mornings, and you're Pete Burrows from Lower Russell and Far at Penrith, accountant, small businesses, individuals.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.